guys, it's Seanie B again, back for another exciting installment of episode 2 of Lost. The recaps and the secrets. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened that you probably missed. Again, there's things I have to go frame by frame to see, different theories, different pictures. Just a lot of things happened this episode, and we're going to try to go over everything. So let's get into it. Before I start, I just want to thank all you guys for most of you guys, nice comments you left. I appreciate it a lot, and it's gonna want me to keep continuing with this. So, again, if there's any questions you guys have, just send me a message or just leave a comment or something, and I'll try to get back to you. Okay, so getting started. This episode, I'd say, is one of the most well-written episodes in the entire show, all 4 seasons even. I thought it was great. There's a whole lot of things that happened. The title of the episode was called Confirmed Dead, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in this video a little bit later. But my first reaction when I saw the name of the title was just thinking back to the scene where Naomi first comes on the island, parachutes, and they find her, and she says, "Oh, we thought you guys were all dead. We found the plane wreck." So I was figuring it would talk more about how they figured out they were dead, and that's what happened this episode, especially at the beginning. This episode introduces 4 new characters. Their names are Daniel, and then there's Miles, and then there's a girl named Charlotte, and then there's a little bit older guy named Frank. And this episode really is about them 4. And I'll go more into detail about the 4 characters a little bit later in this video, but for now, I'll get started on the very first scene of this episode. The first scene of this episode starts off in black and white vision, and it's of a robot searching underwater. And later in the episode, we find out that it's actually searching for sunken Indian shipwrecks. At least that's what they say on the TV. But anyway, they're searching, and it's a few guys talking, and they find some suitcases along, so they keep searching. And also, I'll show you this one picture right here. Just remember this one suitcase, because I'm going to talk about it in just a minute. But anyway, they keep searching. They find an oceanic plane. And the guys seem surprised. So to me, it doesn't seem like those guys are in on, if it's a stage, those guys don't seem to be in on it. I really think they are searching for sunken Indian ships. Whether or not that's the real oceanic plane, I'm going to talk about later, but I'll just let you guys know right now it's pretty much a staged. It's you come back from the commercial and you see that there's an Asian news lady, and she's talking about how they found the plane in the Sunda Trench, which is, as you can see, south of Indonesia. And this whole thing was staged. I'm not sure who it's by yet. We'll find out later, obviously, but it was staged because they obviously don't want anyone finding out about the island, that it's really important, and that they'd go through all this work just to keep it a secret. And also to keep a secret that there's survivors. Some of the obvious reasons why I think that it's a big stage and a big cover-up is that even just last episode we saw Kate and Jack sitting right next to the plane on the island. And then also in the first episode of the pilot, the first season, we saw the actual pilot getting eaten by those whatever monster it was. And so when they show the scenes underwater of the pilot still being there, it's obviously false. And then they also show him, we'll see later, that he is not wearing the ring underwater, yet in the actual pilot was wearing his ring. And again, we'll talk about that later. And then also, what plane falls from that altitude and that speed and hits the water, comes crashing to the ocean floors, and still in one piece? So to me, it was definitely a cover-up and just a big stage. The guy actually watching the news report on TV is a guy named Daniel Faraday, and the creators of Lost don't name a character without reason. Daniel in the show, he's a physicist, and there's a guy named Faraday who's a physicist in the 1800s, and he invented a thing called the Faraday cage, which protects electronics from, it protects them from, if a massive EMP goes off, it protects it so they can still work. People have said that there's one in the hatch where they keep pressing the button that's around the computer, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And it turns out Dan's the one watching the TV, and a lady walks by with a wedding ring on. So I just assume it's his wife. And anyway, Daniel starts crying, and she asks him what's wrong, and he says he doesn't know. Now, as I stated earlier, this episode's all about the 4 people that land on the island, and I'm pretty sure all of them are flashbacks when they show him. And I'm pretty sure this one's a flashback too. The reasons why I think he's crying: one could be he knows someone on the island and he knows that they're officially dead now. Second one could be he was searching for the island and that the TV told him it was completely wrong direction. Maybe a third one, maybe it is a flash forward. It could be, but maybe it might mean he was on the island, he got off, he knows people are still there, that they're just trying to cover it up, whoever's trying to cover it up, that they don't want anyone knowing about it, and that there's no way he can get back. Or it could be that he's just watching the end of a Super Bowl and this thing interrupted it, this news report, and he could just be an emotional guy. Then you see it goes to present, and you see Daniel being pushed out of the plane. It goes to his vision of falling down, landing on a tree, and then hitting the ground. And he gets up and he hears rustling through the forest, and it turns out to be Kate and Jack. And I don't know if it was me or I'm sure a lot of other people saw this, but I was wondering why Daniel was wearing a tie. Did he was he told that the island was semi-formal attire or something? I don't know. Then the next scene is of Locke, and he's just in the middle of the jungle, looking up, smelling the rain, and he knows when the storm's going to pass, which he's been able to do pretty well a few times. And anyway, they're walking through the jungle, and he says, "I need to take a detour." And I really thought at that point Sawyer was going to shoot Locke. And Locke mentions it's because he needs to visit a cabin. And Hurley says, "Oh, well, the cabin's that way." And Ben and Locke both look at him. Ben seems kind of worried and scared that he can see the cabin at all, because I know not very many people can see it. And Locke, at first, when I first saw his face and heard him, I thought he was mad that he said that. He couldn't believe it. Then the more I thought about it, and when I rewatched it, it looked like he was more pleased than anything, actually. That he was happy that Hurley saw it, and he didn't believe him at first, but then he realized that he was telling the truth. I think that he's actually happy that Hurley saw it, unlike Ben. Back to Kate and Jack and Daniel. They're going through the forest, and they come to a box. And at first, Daniel seems a little apprehensive to go to the box because he knows what's inside. And Kate goes up to it and opens it, and they find gas masks inside. And if you remember when I said at the beginning of the video to pay attention to that one suitcase underwater, I'll show you the picture again. To me and other people that on the boards, they seem pretty similar.